Welcome back to the program. Now, for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. In the meantime, the Minister of Finance and former Governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, have been speaking on how the nation's economy should be taken out of recession. Both of them were guests on the program The Platform, a lecture series organized by the Covenant Christian Center in Lagos. While the minister blamed the past administration for concentrating only on current expenditure, leaving the agriculture sector and other areas unattended to.
People will say we have the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority Act. That one only allows, to tell you how Nigeria is, it only allows for saving of excess. Imagine excess in Nigeria. They will never get excess because they have to take everything. I believe that while we are waiting for the Constitution to be amended, for us to have a compulsory saving, we can start today. Honorable Minister and all of us, there's some money today that is about being distributed, which we call refunds and everything. And I believe that if we make a resolution as a country, we can start that. We now have, I read it in the paper every day, 6.9 billion excess crude deduction, out of which 1,250 million, which is about 380 billion, had already been shared.
90% of government expenditure was on what we call recurrent. What is recurrent? Salaries, travel, training, welfare. Welfare, by the way, is food. Welfare. That's what we were spending money on. Only 10% went on capital. Only 10% of government spending was on capital. Now, what is capital? Roads, rail, power, housing, building educational institutions. Only 10% of government expenditure was capital. In 2015, our travel bill was 64 billion naira. Yes. But the amount spent on roads was 19 billion. For the whole country, the whole federal government. It's so interesting because now we're trying to recover money and people are shouting at the government, why are you not recovering? Why didn't you talk when they were stealing? If prevention is better than cure, now we're looking for money everywhere. But people were stealing the money, they carted it away. When we started, it's interesting the question that was asked about money being found. When we started the whistleblower policy, there was so much debate. People said, no, why should you pay somebody 5%? Our argument was, what about the person who stole 100%? Why aren't you worried about the person who took 100%? Why are you fixated with the person who's getting 5% for helping you to bring it back? 5% is just the cost of getting it back. But that's the money that should have been used for our roads. That's the money that should have been used for our rail. Yes, Governor Obi mentioned the fact that money was borrowed. We didn't do that loan, but we inherited it, and government is a continuum for the airports that are being fixed now. The runway that was closed in Abuja, we paid Julius Berger up front. We called them, we said, this is your money. Make sure the airport is open on the day it's meant to open. Did it not open?
Shelter, being one of the basic needs of man, is in short supply, with a deficit of nearly 500,000 in Kwara State, which has a population of nearly 3 million people. The state government may have built nearly 20,000 housing units across the state in the last few years, but then it's still far from reducing the deficit. As a way forward, the current administration says it's partnering with private developers to meet the growing shelter need of its people.
Houses in Kwara State are mostly old-fashioned with rusty brown roofs. A few modern ones in highbrow areas are however springing up around the new settlement and government reservation areas. Nigeria, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, has a deficit of 17 million units, with Kwara State needing about 500,000 of that figure. This deficit, according to the state governor, cannot be provided alone.
This deficit not only demonstrates how serious the housing situation is, it also underlines the need for partnership with the private sector, as government alone cannot fill the housing gap on its own. Currently, Kwara State is experiencing a high population growth due to the huge influx of people and businesses to our state, based on our reputation as a gateway to the north and south, as well as the relative peace we enjoy.
The State Commissioner for Housing gives an overview of what government has been doing, including the over 20,000 units provided in the past 2 years and efforts of private developers.
If you divide 3 million people by average of 6 people in the house, definitely we're supposed to have 500,000 housing units. And we have about 280 to 290. That means we have deficit of 200,000 housing units. If the state government can still, within 2 years, provide up to 20,000 to 30,000 houses for the people, I think the government deserves to be applauded.
This developer says the serene and peaceful environment of the state and the growing demand for accommodation has been good for his business.
Ilorin appears to be a relatively peaceful environment, which has now been experiencing large influx of people. So this influx of people has resulted into a greater need of housing requirements.
Meanwhile, another private developer is worried that housing needs may not be met soon enough because of the inability of the Federal Mortgage Bank to give out loans to businessmen in his category.
We are registered member of Redan, paid registered of Redan, and Federal Mortgage Bank that is supposed to be there to help people. Even their MD came here during the 5th National Housing Convention. They came here, they saw what we have done, they were so proud of what we have done. But up till now, we have applied to even get facility to run this and exit in time. Unfortunately, no Federal Mortgage Bank cannot even come to our aid. The federal government cannot even come to our aid. No bank is even ready to come to our aid.
As all hands come on board towards solving the housing problem of Nigeria, issues such as funding, favorable land laws, and policies on building materials will go a long way in making this goal a reality.
Now, Nigeria seems not to be standing alone in its post-bomb clearance operations, as counter-terrorism officials from the United States are mentoring counter-terrorism personnel of the Nigerian police. The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations, Habila Joshak, explains that the exercise will enable officers to demine the northeast and the south-south region of the country. The leader of the team, John DiMartino, asked participants to give it their all to achieve the desired result.
Studies have shown that the mines that are planted in the northeast is far above those of them that were found planted during the Nigerian Civil War. And if that is true, then it means we have a duty. The basic and critical factor and personality that will be doing this and that will enable people to return from their IDPs camp and some other places where they've run through and find, a place of stay will come back, because there's no place like home.
I want to say that this training is going to be very broad in scope. We will cover threat assessment, explosives, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear awareness, post-blast investigation, remote operations. There's a lot of things we're going to cover in the next week. The goal of the training, the overall goal of the training, is for you to take this training and bring it back home with you and train your troops. So you'll have sustainment and you'll have capacity building.
A confirmed report says the notorious suspected kidnap kingpin Osi Ibori has been killed in Ondo State. Our source told Channels Television that he was killed in the wee hours of this morning during a shootout at a military checkpoint in Ajakwa Creek in Ondo State. Now, Osi's corpse is alleged to have been recovered by the military, while his members of the gang have retracted to the creeks and some others arrested by officers of the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team. Osi has been on the police watch list for various kidnap cases in Lagos, Ogun, and indeed the South states. Still to come on the program News Across Nigeria, it's off to Abia State to see how the police are strategizing to fight crime. Join us again.